Hi folks, hope you are okay. Just doing a short video. We have inspiring philosophy pumping out his propaganda saying Christians shouldn't be afraid of evolution. Now he's supposedly be a Christian apologist. He's dodgy on. I like the guy. I like the guy. I think the guy's great, but he's dodgy on the atonement, and we're going to listen to what he has to say. He's trying to make people want to believe in evolution as a Christian apologist. And I'm saying that the guy is just dangerous because Christians, it's not about Christians fearing evolution. Christians uh, don't believe evolution is science, that it's not rooted in science, and he is accepting evolution. And we're talking about macroevolution, big changes over time. And it's dangerous. It'll secularize the church. So we'll listen to what he has.
And you can't. You absolutely can't. So like it's a double standard, unfortunately. And that's what we get from this.
Lessons we can learn from the book of Job in the Bible. Now, a lot of people tend to think of, oh, Job is all about death and suffering because of what the devil did to Job, and God allowed that to happen. We get a little glimpse of what was going on behind the scenes, and so terrible things happened to Job, and it's all about death and suffering, and then it doesn't really give the answers. Some people say it doesn't give the answer to death and suffering, but actually it does. And actually, I would say, to me, the main lesson of the book of Job is to teach us who God is and to teach us our own limitations. One of the verses I often use from Job is Job chapter 38 and verse 4. When I'm talking to children about those who believe in millions of years, I say to them, think about what God asked Job in Job chapter 38 and verse 4. Where were you when I laid the foundations of the earth? In other words, Job, were you there? No, you weren't there. You didn't see that happen. A reminder that we weren't there. Of course, I've had.
So, I mean, like, he's going to go on to address this, but I mean, like, if you're going to use the book of Job as your standard, you shouldn't make any claims about age of the earth or anything at this point, because like the whole point is like, he's saying like, you're a human, I'm God, therefore you can't question me. You cannot call me to a court and demand me to answer because like I'm in charge. Now, I don't think that's the Christian view. I think we're allowed to study nature and develop thought. This is a very specific thing where Job is actually like doing like a court thing where he's like, I'm demanding you show up and give an account as if he is being prosecuted in a court of law. And of course, you can't do that to God. That doesn't mean we can't question or talk to him, but like,
right.
The point is that I think Ken Ham is like double standard again. If Job can't do that, if theistic evolutionists can't do that, then what are you doing, Ken?
Well, it's interesting because the book.
He's not saying that. You're actually reading him wrong. He's not actually saying that you can't question. He's saying that you weren't there. That's what Ken Ham's saying. That God is saying you weren't there. That's the point that he's saying. So you're actually straw manning what Ken Ham's actually saying. Come on, guys. I thought you were clever.
Job is one of my favorite books in the Bible. I love it because, and I love, well, the part I love is this same part where God answers Job. And the reason I love it is because, you know, I use it to explain to people, science is not over. We don't know everything. We know a lot more than Job did. And we know a lot more than the people who wrote Job did, but we don't know it all. And in fact, I even wrote a kind of tongue-in-cheek modern version of Job, where I talk about a particular biological scientist who thought he knew everything, and it turned out he didn't, because there's so many things we still don't know. So, I mean, I kind of like the idea of Job, but Ham's use of it to make this point of where were you is beside the point, because that's not what God does say, where were you? But that's just a way of saying, what do you know? You're a human. You didn't make the world. I did. So, then he's judged.
You're actually making Ken Ham's point. Ken Ham's point is that there are things that are beyond our understanding, and what he's trying to show is the need for humility. And you're actually, in a strange way, actually confirming what Ken Ham's trying to say. You've actually just stated that, yeah, there's a lot of things science don't know. But the issue about the book of Job is that God created the world, and God makes it clear that He created the world. It doesn't say anything there about theistic evolution. Doesn't say anywhere in the book of Job that there was God created and set off a theistic evolution paradigm. But it does say quite clearly in the book of Job, especially at the end, that it was God that created everything. And when I mean create, it's implying His power. He did it by His word, not by some kind of process. So you can't go to the book of Job and use that to give you any theological foundation for theistic evolution. But Ken Ham can use it to give him a theological foundation for the doctrine of creation. But coming on to this point and showing Ken Ham from on the book of Job, to me is kind of a very cheesy kind of way of dealing with the issue. You're not really dealing with the kind of proper science. You're not dealing with the issue. Like, for example, I'll ask you, inspiring philosophy, give me one peer-reviewed PhD that's been done where macroevolution has been observed in time, like the increasing of bacteria to see if bacteria has become something more than bacteria. Because all studies on bacteria have shown that when you multiply bacteria by 40,000 generations, guess what, Michael? It's still bacteria. Bacteria is still bacteria. Guess what, Michael? The finches 100 years ago are still finches today. Okay, so give us a PhD review of observation in time of macroevolution. Go for it. You won't be able to find it at all. The other thing as well, have you ever done any research on Francis Ayala, PhD, an eminent biologist of some years ago, and what he actually said about the word chance and the word order and various words that give ideas of there is order within creation? And have you ever read what he said about the issue of PhDs that were done in the 60s and 70s, and where if you were in a PhD and you were doing it in biology concerning evolution, you were not to give the word, especially the word purpose, in your PhD. Why is that? It's because unwittingly scientists will always write as if creation has a purpose. But natural selection and mutation, there is no ultimate purpose really. But yet we do see purpose across the board. We see purpose in every area of creation, which, if there is a purpose, that implies a plan, which implies a mind. So PhDs were told not to use that word purpose because it might give away actually what they're actually observing. Then what about the mathematical probability of natural selection and mutation? Can you work that one out for us, Michael Jones? Can you give us a PhD review telling us what the mathematical probability is? Because the mathematical probability, my dear friend, is nowhere near going to defend your position. We're not scared or fearing evolution. It just doesn't stand up to intellectual scrutiny. And you, my dear friend, are not discerning. You're weak on the doctrine of the atonement. You've thrown in the past, I don't know where you are now, maybe you've moved somewhere else. You've thrown penal substitution under the atonement a few years ago. You are brilliant and you are great at defending certain aspects of the New Testament. You are brilliant and great at critiquing Islam, but you are completely a car wreck when it comes to theology and sound theology. And you are absolutely correct in terms of secularizing the church, because you are pushing your theistic evolution. We are not scared of evolution. I'm not scared. I'll debate you, Michael Jones, any time, night or day. And I know for a fact that you will not take up that debate. I know for a fact that you will not email me and take me up on the debate. Why? Because evolution is intellectually indefensible. We look at the information in DNA that destroys your argument for macroevolution with the code and the information in the DNA. I could go on and on and on and on. On and on and on and on. We are not scared of evolution. We are concerned that your theistic evolution undermines and throws under the bus Genesis 1, 2, 3 as historical, which, by the way, our Lord Jesus quoted as historical, and which, by the way, the apostles quoted as historical. So you're going against the Lord Jesus and you're going against the apostles, but that doesn't matter to you guys. No, just say it's all metaphorical, it's all allegorical, it's not historical. And all them fundamentalists, they're anti-intellectual and they're scared of evolution. No, we're not scared of evolution. We want to do exegesis like Adolf Schlatter, where we get things in context. We want to look at Genesis 1, 2, and 3 in its context. We want to look at the texts that talk about creation in its context and to understand it contextually, not trying to write it out, not trying to water it down like you and theistic evolutionists do. We're not scared of evolution, my friend. Not scared one iota. Nothing I've said you will be able to address or to defeat with an argument or any evidence whatsoever.
Yeah. Let me get to some super chats here. I'm going to prioritize the ones that give more. So thank you, Matthew, for the very generous super chat. It says, in your debate with Captain Tazariak, yeah, I just posted that yesterday. If anyone wants to see that, we debated in New York on if Jesus is the Most High God. He argued Satan in 1 Chronicles 21 was the devil as God's agent. What if Satan there isn't the devil at all, but the angel of the Lord functioning in an adversary role? Yeah, so it doesn't actually say Satan. I didn't have time to get into that. I do think it's an adversary, so I think it's probably referring to the devil. But the problem with his argument is that he's misunderstanding something here.
So he's going off a tangent there. So I want to just finish and recap this. I'm not scared of theistic evolution. This guy, Inspiring Philosophy, very clever guy. I really like him, actually. He's a very nice guy and he's very likable. And I like him. Inspiring Philosophy is a really nice guy. And he's a powerful debater against Islam. No question about it. But to put a title up, Christians need to stop fearing evolution, as if we're anti-intellectual and as if we fear evolution, is just, he is walking in arrogance and of lacking discernment, totally lacking discernment. If you want to see my videos, just Google Bob the Builder, refute me on evolution, and you can see some of my arguments that I've given. But I'm not like one of the main debaters in that area, but I'm certainly not scared of evolution. I have enough intellectual ammunition to be able to defeat theistic evolution. It is not intellectually viable, and it's not true Christianity. The idea that God created the world and set in motion this evolution, this macroevolution, is just nonsense. Like I said, give me a PhD that shows macroevolution in time. It's never been done. That's why Dr. Mayer, one of the world authority on evolution, said that macroevolution was a historical science. It's your interpretation of the past. Okay. That's why Karl Popper said evolution was not science. And then he had a lot of pressure put upon him. And what was the pressure? The pressure was, oh, you're becoming a fundamentalist. So he reneged and went back and said, no, evolution is science. But then near the end of his death, he changed again, third time, and said, no, it's not science. evolution can't explain the development of logic. It can't explain the development of morals. It can't explain the development of numbers, why we have numbers, why we have abstract concepts and things like that. Yeah, so theistic evolutionists, they corrupt the text of Genesis 1, 2, and 3. They destroy the historical Adam and Eve, which destroys sin coming into the world, which affects the cross and the coming of Christ to die on the cross. So we're not scared of evolution. We're not scared of theistic evolution. We have strong theological arguments and we have strong scientific arguments. And I put a list here. And in fact, I'm going to show you the list here. I'm going to actually show you this list. Right? Modern day scientists who believe in creation. Dr. James Allen, geneticist. Dr. Steve Austin, PhD in geology. Dr. John Bungana, PhD in geophysics and space physics. Dr. Donald Chittick, PhD in physical chemistry. Dr. Tim Clarley, PhD in geology. Dr. Kane Cumming, PhD in biology. Dr. David DeWitt, PhD in neuroscience. Dr. Donald D. Young, PhD in physics. Dr. Jeff Downs, PhD in tree physiology. Dr. Danny Faulkner, PhD in astronomy. Dr. Gentry, nuclear physicist. Dr. Duane Gish, PhD in biochemistry. And it goes on and on and on and on and on. Dr. Jason Lyle, PhD in astrophysics. Dr. Ian McCready, molecular biologist and microbiologist. Dr. George Marshall, PhD in ophthalmic science. Dr. David Menton, PhD in cell biology. Dr. Henry Morris, hydrologist. Dr. John Morris, PhD in geological engineering. Dr. Gary E. Parker, ED, biology and geology. Dr. George Purdom, PhD in molecular genetics. Dr. Ariel A. Roth, PhD in biology. Dr. Jonathan Safati, PhD in physical chemistry. Dr. Jonathan Skeefen, paleontologist. Dr. Andrew Snelling, PhD in geology. Dr. Ken C. Thomas, DS in geophysics. Dr. Larry Valderman, PhD in astrophysics science. Dr. John Whitmore, PhD in biology. Dr. A.E. Wilder Smith, PhD in physical organic chemistry. Dr. Kurt Wise, PhD in paleontology. Okay? All those PhDs in physics, science, biology, neuroscience, all the disciplines. Absolute nonsense. No, these are all PhDs. I know some. I've seen many of these guys. So absolute nonsense. The fact of the matter is, these guys, are all. I mean, it's nonsense. That Jason Lyle is a PhD in physics. So Parker, all these people, they're all eminent, and I can go on. Dr. Werner Wright, who died some years ago, massive scientist, massive scientist. Debunk that, Mister Sitz. Look, watch this now. Watch this. Watch this. Watch this guy now. Watch him. He will not be able to debunk me right now. Google Mr. Site Master. Google Dr. Werner Wright, who died a few years ago, and tell me he was not an eminent scientist. Go. Go. You won't be able to do it because he was an eminent scientist. I actually met him. Truth Defender, God bless you, bro. I challenge IP, Inspiring Philosophy, to debate Donnie for standing for truth on evolution. He pretended he did not know who Donnie was. I told Donnie, who said he had challenged him before, IP ran from the debate challenge. There we are. You see, these people, thanks Truth Defender, they run from proper intellectual debate because they know that they haven't got anything to stand on. The problem with IP, inspiring philosophy, Bob the Builder, and all these people, and William Lane Craig, they are secularizing the church because many Christians imbibe this theistic evolution, but it destroys. I'm still waiting, Mr. Sightmaster, for you to debunk Dr. Werner Wright. Tell me that he's not a great scientist. He died a few years ago. A UK scientist, just Google it, was a Christian. See how you go with that one. End of debate. What these people are doing is secularizing the church because they're watering down Genesis 1, 2, and 3. Our Lord quoted Genesis 1, 2, and 3 as history. Paul quoted Genesis as 1, 2, and 3 as history. The apostles quoted Genesis 1, 2, 3 as history. Nowhere did they teach that Genesis 1, 2, and 3 was symbolic and Adam and Eve was symbolic. No, Adam and Eve were real people who were really created by God. That's what the Bible teaches. And you can't water it down with theistic evolution. If you do that, you secularize the church because what you're saying is Adam and Eve were not real people. And then in the end, sin didn't come in and then it attacks the atonement. It's basically an attack on the sovereignty of God. When you attack the sovereignty of God, everything else collapses. And that's what this is. Theistic evolution is an attack upon the sovereignty of God. And when you attack the sovereignty of God, you begin to doubt other things as well. And really, it's saying that God didn't really create the world, really. Even though they say God created the world and it was done theistic evolutionary way, really deep down, there's an unbelief in the sovereignty of God. God doesn't need time. He can create the world in a second. He could create the world in a millisecond if he wanted to. He could create the world over billions of years or a millisecond. But guess what? He chose 6 days just so we can understand and see how powerful and glorious and great he is that he can get the glory. So there we are, my dear friends. I'm not scared of evolution. I'll debate anybody. Anybody on the internet, you want to debate me, I'll debate you on evolution. I've had two PhDs in Manchester and Liverpool challenge me, and all I've asked them is what's the mathematical probability for natural selection and mutation to create the eye or the brain? And those two PhDs walked off. No, 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 Mr. Sidemaster. I've just told you. I've just told you. I'm showing that you're propagating propaganda. You can't refute what I've just said about Dr. Werner Wright. Dr. Werner Wright, you can't refute it. And I'm just showing that your propaganda has been exposed. Okay, I'm going to go. Love you all. Thank you, Truth Defender. And I'm going to go. I've made my point. I'm not scared. Watch this. Watch this guy, this atheist. Watch this. Give us a PhD to show us that you've observed macroevolution in time. Go. 10 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. End of debate. You haven't got it. As Dr. Mayer said, it's a historical science where you're looking at the past and it's your interpretation of the past. Period. End of debate. Okay, I'm gonna go. Anybody want to say anything? If anybody wants to come on and say something, and then I'm gonna go. I'll give you a chance to say something, and I'm gonna go. I'm gonna have a cup of tea. I've only had one meal today. Truth Defender, thank you, bro. God bless you. Thank you for your comments. Love you, man. Oh, so as IP said, as Truth Defender says, we're not running. He's been offered debates by Donny, Standing for Truth has mentioned it to him, but he's not taking it up. So nobody's scared of evolution. He's scared of the doctrine of creation, obviously. Hey, bye. Don't forget to support the stream. Okay, I'm gonna go. Nobody wants to come on, so this guy, no surrender, no surrender, no surrender. I will never imbibe evolution till the day I die. I will always stand on the Bible. Genesis chapter 1, 2, and 3 is historical. Jesus quotes it, Paul quotes it. That's good enough for me. No evidence. The mathematical probability of natural selection and mutation producing the complexity of the eye is absolutely diabolically, absolutely defeats evolution. The reason being, the probability is 0. Okay? God bless you. Love to everybody out. Take care, Truth Defender. Take care, Mr. Sightmaster, and anybody else who comes on this stream. But we're not scared of evolution. No surrender. No surrender. No surrender. God bless you.